Welcome to the weird and wonderful world of the Rolling Stone, where we ask, can the best of Star Wars survive the worst of its fans?
The Star Wars fanbase really seems to be the most kind of toxic.
An incredibly interesting intellectual article where it thinks the best of Star Wars is the Acolyte. And the worst of its fans is the fans. And they have to mean that, right? Because they can't mean anyone else. The Acolyte was cancelled because nobody liked it in the audience. This was a show that was made for the critics. It was made for the California class.
Childless cat lady!
And it was cancelled because of low viewership. Now, none of that is surprising, but it does mean that Rolling Stone's worst of its fans does just mean the majority of them. Because if they were a tiny fraction, then all the good fans would have turned up, and it wouldn't have had low viewership. So this title might as read, Can the Best of Star Wars Survive Fans? And that's only if you think the Acolyte is good, an ever shrinking percentage.
They've hit the second tower.
I'm super upset that there isn't going to be a second season of Acolyte. I had some ups and downs with the show itself. Like 90 to 95% loved it.
I definitely had a period of time with anger and just over.
My reaction to the Acolyte getting cancelled, though, entirely different.
They're mobilized. They are online all the time. A lot of them are using bots to spew their hate, to review bomb, to do all these things and target the creators, target the actors.
Dragged into this discourse was the fact that Leslie Headland is a lesbian who cast her wife Rebecca Henderson as Vernestra Rowe. Accounts hostile to Headland discovered that she used to work as an assistant at the Weinstein Company and began to spread all kinds of disgusting misinformation trying to connect Headland to Harvey Weinstein's crimes.
She worked as his personal assistant for 5 years, Eric, something you conveniently left out in that little rant of yours. And you're telling us right now that she knew absolutely nothing about what was going on?
I seriously doubt that.
Lord, can we get off of this toxic hamster wheel? Enough.
And we are in the same Star Wars fandom as some of these awful people.
And I just can't stand those people that have to go and attack everyone else for enjoying a thing.
For weeks, putting up with endless, like, hateful bullying comments and stuff.
But what's the point of going on and crapping on other people going, ha ha, told you, second season's not going to happen? Like, what's the point of that?
Because it's really, really funny.
It is wrong. We somehow need to figure out a way to mobilize as a community and spread positivity.
Good luck.
If you got bullied like we did, I see you. It sucks.
Okay, real quick, I'm gonna explain Molly here's definition of being bullied. So she comes out and says something completely ridiculous.
People are just coming out of the woodwork to say, oh, I hate it because the writing's bad. No, you hate it because there's a lesbian.
Going after people who are criticizing the show for legitimate reasons like the writing and saying, no, that's not valid, you're homophobic.
And as such, became a target.
A target for who exactly? And I'm pretty sure all of you watching know what he's gonna say.
Racist, sexist,
Right.
homophobes, xenophobes, general bad faith hate mongers who may or may not even ever watch Star Wars.
And according to these three idiots, you are all of those things if you do not support this show. You can dislike and criticize it for reasons they and only they approve of course.
And whether or not you liked The Acolyte, I'm not going to argue with you. You are entitled to your opinion.
But you damn well better support it.
However, what The Acolyte represents to not just Star Wars fans, but to our society, to where we want to head to as a society, which is a much more inclusive society, it is important for us to rally around it.
Even if it's the worst piece of shit you've ever seen.
And lift it up and be like, hey, we want more shows like this. We are not going to be stuck in the 1950s or even 80s, quite frankly.
What did he say?
The fallout was always going to be wild. Some people were happy, and other people, not so much. Disney is happy to let the toxic dude bros win, I guess.
Well, bully for you.
I have a special guest, as you can see. Mark Hamill has decided to join us on this wonderful Friday, and I am really excited to turn it over to Mr. Hamill. Here we go.
Okay, how many of you had Mark Hamill will lead the press briefing on your bingo card? Hands? Yeah, me either. And look, I just got to meet the president. He gave me these aviator glasses. Oh, yeah. I love the merch. Love it all. But listen, I just wanted to say I was honored to be asked to come to the White House to meet the president, the most legislative successful president in my lifetime. And I'm open to questions, although no Star Wars questions, please.
Can Biden bring up Star Wars too, sir?
Well, I called him Mr. President. He said, you can call me Joe. And I said, can I call you Joe B-1 Kenobi?
Yeah, I'll handle the jokes around here.
I said that before, I say, may the force be with you. Unless you're MAGA, then you can go force yourself.
Oh, shut up!
What's the first thing you liked about me?
Man, keep your clothes on, please. Don't nobody want to see that.
How much money did you have? Why don't you check yourself?
Yeah, hold that stomach in, Robin.
What's his problem?
I don't know, but enough is enough. Excuse me, sir. Young man, can you please keep it down just a little bit, because we're trying to watch it.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back to the theaters. Hello, fat ass!
In 2022, a group of internet misfits started a podcast covering the decline of entertainment. These men and one furry promptly went to a bar and drank some Pepsi. Today, they survive as internet warriors of justice. If you have a woke jackass subverting your expectations, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the War on Pop Culture.
Nice. God, I can never get enough of that damn intro.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the logic is if you're going to create a different series that isn't purely focused on watch-alongs, have it with some extra flair, right?
Why
Do
not?
something a little bit different.
Indeed. The Pepsi Man bit always gets me.
I call it the cherry on top. Yep. You can always get a kick out of it.
The cherry Pepsi on top. Ah!
There you go. Oh, by the way, nice job referencing Nutty Professor 2. I would imagine that was everybody's reaction to seeing the trailer in theaters.
Oh God!
And it's kind of funny because the dialogue from that scene actually fits pretty well because you have the characters in the trailer taking their clothes off, and Murphy's like, "Hey, keep your shirt on, man. Nobody want to see that."
Damn.
Oh, it kind of worked. It kind of fit.
It did. Kind of like how using those Joker clips for spying to Mark Hamill's cringy shit was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should listen to that version of yourself, Marky Mark. Oh wait, you're not Mark Wahlberg. Never mind. You don't get to be called Marky Mark.
Marky Mark. I mean, that is why I have a dichotomy here. Joker on one side, Mark Hamill on the other. Even if the Joker is a derivative from Mark Hamill, at least the voice, that particular iteration, I like to think that the Joker is better than Mark Hamill. Certainly more entertaining these days. Anyway.
Yes.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the War on Pop Culture. This is episode 28. It's kind of poetic, ironic that the last episode we did, it was also talking about the Acolyte, and now here we are. Though I can't say I was expecting us to talk about it in regards for it being canceled. I thought it was like, oh yeah, season 2's greenlit, show's going forward, more cringy dialogue, more throbbing of the lightsabers.
The power of 2 seasons? Nope.
You could make the example of the Acolyte is Alderaan and Disney is a Death Star, like they always are, and then they just. That's how I see it anyway. That's how it feels. Yep.
Yeah.
Or, when I heard about the cancellation, so it's a shame you didn't put a clip of like Titanic hitting the iceberg and it's Acolyte as the Titanic and Disney as the fucking iceberg.
Too easy.
Too simple. Not funny enough.
Yeah.
Plus, I really don't like that movie. So the less I see of it, the better. Hey, I like that movie.
That's true.
Well, congratulations. Okay.
Indeed.
Ripping off the Band-Aid. We're here to talk about the Acolyte being canceled. We're going to talk about why it's being canceled or why it has been canceled. We're going to talk about the responses. It's a very interesting topic, especially and specifically looking at the reactions. Because one might think, okay, they canceled it because, well, we know the low viewership. It's not even just the Rotten Tomatoes score from the audience because obviously they don't care about the audience.
No.
They barely care about the critics. I say barely because while the critics do have a sort of influence in regards for the PR of the show or of a particular project, ultimately what matters is the numbers. That being how many people are tuning in, how many people stay tuned in to the full conclusion of a series. And then you have the responses like, oh, was it good? Was it bad? The thing is that ultimately Disney is a business. Disney is a company in the interest of making money. Okay. And if something isn't making money, they're going to cut it loose. And that's pretty much the logic of any business putting out products. So I've said this before to a certain extent with the sequel trilogy. So people love to talk about how great the sequel trilogy was. The thing is, you don't see a lot of merchandise these days for that trilogy. Whereas with something like the original trilogy, or more recently, the prequel trilogy, even years after those movies came out, you still had merchandise from those films being produced, even if it was repurposed, repainted, redesigned, whatever. You still had those characters being marketed, having products of those characters come out. And that's because, hey, you know what? People like Yoda. People like Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. People like Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker. These are characters
People like Han Solo.
Right? These are characters that bring in the money, so they'll continue making more products based on those characters. With a sequel trilogy, that's not the case. These days, you barely see anything coming out of those characters. Obviously, of course, they've announced the Rey movie, and you could sort of like question that logic, like, oh well, clearly Rey's popular enough to get a Rey movie. No, I don't think so. I think that it's Kathleen Kennedy wanting to push something out that really doesn't want to be pushed out, but you're not going to have Disney stand up against her, at least right now, because, we're looking at the PR response to the Acolyte cancellation. And you have a lot of these people that are saying to F Disney, like, go screw yourself, Disney, you suck. You cave to the incels, the right wingers. You had Amanda Stenberg come out recently with a video talking about some stupid stuff. She said one or two good little things. I watched the video. She was talking about echo chambers and how we're all susceptible to being in those echo chambers, which was nice. It's just then she just
Not
came
totally
right
false.
but then she came back with the whole right winger. Well, she didn't say incel, but the bigotry thing. Okay, so any good thing that she says,
conservatives,
any good thing that she said, I immediately disregarded because I know where she's coming from ultimately. Because it's kind of like having a really crappy cupcake. The sprinkles are nice, but the overall cupcake is garbage. So those sprinkles can manipulate weaker minds.
Right.
Not me.
Weaker tastes.
So
just saying.
Yeah, no. So damn it, you're fucking cupcake. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Point is, Amanda Stenberg, I don't really give a shit what she says in the end. Because any good thing she says, all I can think about is her diss track.
Oh,
right?
fuck.
Where she decided to attack the fans. I'm sure that Disney was pretty upset that she put that out. Like, okay, that's great. At the same time, does it really matter, though? Like, okay, she already said the dumb shit before doing the diss track. She continues saying dumb shit after the diss track, right? Disney doesn't care about the fans anyway. Okay,
That's
it's just
true.
Their mindset is, well, we got to make money with some of this stuff, right? Yet the low viewership numbers made them cancel it. And then when these fans, and I'm using fans in quotations, start crying about it, the first thing they say is, well, Disney caved to the shills. Talk about biting the hand that's feeding you, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's almost what it's like.
I'm just trying to wonder now, can you imagine, just given how popular of a show it apparently was, if this was the same shit that happened? Like, they applied this same logic to the cancellation of Firefly.
Oh,
like,
God.
Trying to claim it was the alt-right that got it canceled, or some shit like that. Or, who knows, they could have said it was communists that got Firefly canceled. I mean, I don't know which end of the political spectrum they were on at that point, because back then, like most people, who would give a fucking shit? But apparently everyone does now, because now your opinion on a show, it reflects your political affiliation somehow. Like, and I think they do like to, they may not name names, but I do think they like to point at D-Day Cobra, aka Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Mainly because he has openly said many times that he is a proud Trump supporter.
Mm-hmm.
And because he has churned out a lot of videos covering this shit, like he, like, to his credit, like, he takes it head on, but when he does that, he basically is painting a target on himself.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
but he
really,
can take it, and I respect
really,
that.
Anybody can really paint a target on their head if they even say something remotely non-left wing. And I say that because you even have people that are on the left who are being attacked by their own people. It happens. J.K. Rowling, on any other given day, J.K. Rowling is your left wing bullshitter all the way. But she's been very firm on her views on trans women, and that gets her in hot water pretty much daily. So much so that you had people wanting to boycott Hogwarts Legacy because of it, even though she wasn't even really involved with the game anyway. It's just the world that she created. That yet people that they wanted people to get people that wanted to boycott it because it's
stupid.
Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, it's all connected, so screw her. So they eat their own, and this is a logic or a mindset that we have seen time and time again, and it's the ultimate conclusion, right? So let's say, hypothetically speaking, the culture war, that they win.
Right.
Well, they subjugate anybody that's not of their political ilk. They eliminate their boogeymen. So the straight, white, conservative male, for example. What do they have left after that? They deal with that enemy. What, you think it's going to be paradise on earth? No, because it's almost like enemy of my enemy is my friend until that enemy is gone, and then you realize you're not compatible with each other. Because you have very different cultures that look at certain things very differently. See, with the West, we used to value certain things like the nuclear family, the whole family unit. We used to value that. These days, it gets demonized. You have people that are of the LGBT community who says, we're tired of having heterosexuality shoved down our throats. The thing is, that's not happening.
It's not.
They act
the norm,
doing the opposite. Literally to the point where world governments fly that LGBT flag proudly in their embassies. So I think if anything's getting promoted more, it's more of the LGBT related stuff, especially when you look at things like drag kids, for example.
Oh God.
You don't have people. You don't have people that are. I expected more of an uproar when that started to gain more popularity. I think that most adults over the age of 30 understand exactly what drag shows are.
Yeah.
And then they try to associate that with LGBT stuff, which it is connected, but it's also something that was more of like a fetish, right? Like you had people that were just like, I like men and I'm a man. Like they were just straight up, yeah, I'm gay or I'm bisexual. Then you had the trans shit that started coming out. Then in association with the drag queen stuff, it really got convoluted and twisted. It's a big mess. My point in saying all that is you have people that are, if you want to call them non-traditionalists, and then you have
I don't even know.
And then you have the corporations that support them, and then in turn, it's like, well, now we want these corporations to represent us. And you have this representation in every single piece of pop culture. You'll find it very hard to not find certain groups of people in a particular show because it's practically mandated in Hollywood that you have to have all these certain checkboxes ticked off. And how that connects to the Acolyte? Well, let's see. In the marketing campaigns for the Acolyte, you had the actors, you had the showrunner, Leslie Headland, come out. I mean, I think we've all seen it. This is the gayest Star Wars show ever.
But, why do they have to promote the Acolyte as being like the poster child for the most diversity we've gotten in Star Wars? It ain't.
Well, ask yourself this. Why would you even have that aspect in your marketing in the first place? Why aren't you focused on making a good Star Wars show first that just so happens to have these diverse characters?
Exactly. Well, the very definition of just the best way I can really metaphorically put it together here is that putting your little agendas, message, whatever, diversity before the characters or the message before the story is equivalent to putting the wagon in front of the horse. Like, the horse can't carry those things because, well, you got them mixed up there.
Yeah, the
That's just not
can't carry the horse.
no. Like, it would
Horse is meant to
fucking
pull
break.
the wagon.
Hey, question. What was that fucking bitch's name? The blonde-haired bitch who wrote this shit? Wrote the Acolyte? What's her name? What was her name?
Harvey Winecooler's personal assistant, Leslie Headland.
Yes, that one. Thank you. I just got clouded for a minute. Also, when she said that she was a victim of bullying, let's see. The only reason, okay, since when does having a critical opinion count as bullying? You're just basically, she's acting like a fucking child. Hello?
Yeah. When did she say that she was bullied? Like if you're referencing our intro,
yeah,
I think you're getting your wires crossed. She never said that she was being bullied. It was the shills.
Yes.
Oh,
that was talking about being bullied.
Yeah. So
Well,
basically, since when do shills think that being criticized counts as bullying? Do you know how stupid that is? That's like saying they're acting like fucking children. You're acting like a kid, like you just got flicked and you say, "Ow, mommy, he fucking hit me. Mommy, he hit me." It's like, seriously, it does make no sense though. Since when does having a critic, everybody's a critic, they have an opinion, why not just, hey, there's a thing called critique. You either listen to your fans or you just bitch and moan about it and play victim. They're fucking playing victim though, because sees negative criticism about it. Oh my gosh, we're being victims of cyberbullying and shit like that. Bleh. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. Grow up.
I do think it's a generational thing though, because every time you see these people who are who are covering this shit, who like to sing the praises of this content. I mean, look, if you like this stuff, that's fine. Mm-hmm. However, if the mere idea that someone disagrees with you and is going to respond to you and you call it a personal attack, then you need to get the hell out of here. Because, and again, going back to the whole generational thing, every time I see it, it's usually like a younger millennial or a Gen Zer. Just try to picture this though. I mean, let's go back in time a bit. Like Siskel and Ebert. Again, here we are again talking about Siskel and Ebert on the show here, but they didn't always agree. And to be fair, that was sometimes the best part of their show, was when they didn't agree and when they were just kind of at each other. What do you really think that they would take, like, the fact that I don't know, Ebert actually liked Home Alone 3, that Siskel, his response saying, "Are you okay?" Do you think Ebert would sit there and go, "Is that like a personal attack or something?" No. Ebert just sat there, stood his ground, and explained why he liked it. That's what we should be doing. Yeah. Like, having two ends of the spectrum when it comes to one's opinion on a show is not meant to change the other. Like, there's never going to be that perfect harmony, especially when it comes to any sort of given opinion on anything in pop culture, whether it be movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, even music. There will never be a perfect harmony, because guess what? I made a show dedicated to just watching movies that I consider to be garbage. But here's the thing. Some of those movies that I would call garbage are movies I actually like because they're so bad. There are unpopular movies out there that exist that I do like. There are popular movies out there that everybody likes that I don't. Besides. But again, as long as you have it in you to just present your opinion in a meaningful way, and even if it's someone who's at the other end who says, I disagree, here's why, you have a discussion.
Right.
But we're at the point now, and we have been for quite a couple years, that's why we're still here, where people just take it personally. And I'd say you got paper thin skin if you're going to take, I like that show. I didn't. What are you doing? I don't
know. Well, I think that there's something that we need to look at here. The individuals who say that they're being attacked when you have fans that don't like the Acolyte, and so they associate someone saying they don't like the Acolyte with, oh, they're attacking me. Full disclosure, this is the internet. What that means is you are going to have people that will target you and harass you for any reason they feel necessary to do. They will find something about you that they will criticize, and there will be no real rhyme or reason to it, and they'll still do it. So you as an individual going on the internet have to accept that you are going to encounter somebody who will troll you. Whether you be a YouTuber, some random commenter, or an actor, a director, a political figure, social influencer, it doesn't matter who you are. Someone is going to find something about you to critique, to criticize, to make fun of, to insult. You have to be able to accept that. Otherwise, you can't stay on the internet, which some people have, right? You've had actors that have left social media because it became so stupid for them that it's like a waste of time. You can kind of say something about social media, right. Like, what exactly are you doing on social media? Is it really a good investment of your time? Now, of course, if we're talking about content creators, then yeah, I mean, you have to be able to endure the hits that come your way. The people that will criticize you, make fun of you, insult you. You have to be able to absorb those hits and keep going forward.
Yeah.
Yet somehow people have lost this mentality. Because for me, I always understood it when social media really got big that, hey, you're going to encounter people that are not going to like you. You have to make sure that you can take those hits. You know how I know? You know how I was able to sort of have that mindset going into the internet? Because that's how it is in the real world. You're going to have people that you encounter in your life that will not like you, that will insult you, that will belittle you. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you get hit and your ability to get back up and keep moving forward, right?
It's like boxing.
You got to be able to apply that same logic to the internet. That being said, these people, like you saw in the intro, where, what was it, Star Wars Explained? I remember her and him from years ago. I don't even remember their names, and I don't really care. But you saw in her intro where she was talking about how, I was being bullied. But then she says something stupid like, oh, well, you're criticizing the Acolyte not because you think it's bad or whatever, the writing, the characters. It's because it has insert diverse individual here. And that's a problem because you do have people that have focused solely on the fact that the Acolyte is messing with canon. Yet the focus and the criticism and the outcries of the Acolyte's cancellation have all been right-wing incels, white men this, toxic fan that. The alt-right has won. because Disney caved to them. Disney does not give a shit. This is showing the fairy tale that they're living in. Think about that, okay?
Right.
That their first response is that Disney caved to the incels instead of realizing or remembering that this is a business we're talking about. And if the Acolyte had a sharp drop in viewers after the second episode, and it got even worse when you look at the Nielsen ratings, where it didn't even make the top 10. No, it's not because they caved to the shills or to the...
It wasn't succeeding in the ratings.
Nobody watched it. Nobody watched it.
No. I'm beginning to wonder at this point, who was watching it more? Those who pretended to really like it and support it, or those who were only viewing it just to get the word out there? And they didn't like it either. I mean, again, even when someone as popular as Jeremy Johns reviewing every single episode, and he has made it very clear that he thought it was shit. He drank in every episode. This is the same guy where back when Force Awakens comes out, he's wearing a fucking Star Wars themed bedsheet like a cape and playing with a toy lightsaber in his thumbnails. Now he's pouring a bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label. Or was it Blue Label? Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
The point is, he's drinking now. Because maybe, just maybe, this type of show with the Acolyte failed to reach the largest audience possible. They always keep playing this stupid, this wasn't made for you crap. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But
which we didn't.
No,
they told us that if you don't like it, don't watch it. Okay, that's exactly what happened. And as a result, the show got canceled. You see how it works? Can you understand how it works, the mentality of it? Because I don't think you can. Did people not watch G4 and watch Frost go on her legendary rant that sunk the goddamn brand after they had just resurrected it? I mean, sometimes the self-awareness coming from these individuals, you can make a show out of it, just like, or like a public service announcement, right? Like, hey, don't go tell your fan base to not watch it if you don't like it, because they might very well just do that. I guess all these people really did go out and touch grass and said, hey, I kind of like this Mother Earth. She's got a nice bush.
Probably enough to bang it.
And you ruined it.
That was the joke. You didn't. The point is, that's exactly what happened. People didn't watch the show, and it gets canceled. It didn't get canceled because of the numerous people that were saying it's crap. It was getting canceled because people didn't watch it. They tuned in for the first 2 episodes. And they said, yeah, this looks dumb. I'm not interested. And it got progressively worse. All I can remember are the people that were just fawning over these new characters like Yord, the black guy.
I don't know their names.
Yeah,
at all.
Okay, they were fawning over this guy. And what was hilarious is they fawn over this guy. It's like, oh, I can't wait to see more of him. He gets his neck fucking snapped in episode 7. He dies. It's so stupid. And then Daphne Keene, bless her heart. I wish they didn't have her in the show, because I loved her in Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine. But she was in it, and yeah, she gets stabbed multiple times with a lightsaber. Of course, I really had to step back and pause and think to myself, is she really dead though? Because I don't know what it is, but there have been several Star Wars characters that have survived getting impaled by a lightsaber.
That's true.
In some cases, multiple times, and they still came back. So I was like, is she really dead? I don't know. But you see, that's the problem. They set such an unusual precedent in the world, like the consequences for certain things like, oh yeah, if you're sucked into the vacuum of space, you're fucking dead. Nope, not unless you're Princess Leia. Oh, getting stabbed with a lightsaber as a kid. Yeah, you somehow survive. And then you get stabbed again. And you still survive. I'm looking at Reva.
Just a flesh wound, I guess.
And then, of course, I mean, we got to talk about the whole racism angle, because that was another big focal point, is that, I mean, Amanda Stenberg drops her diss track, which is cringy, very cringy. I could barely understand the words coming out of her mouth, too. I don't know if that was just a me problem, but I couldn't understand.
Oh, no. Well, why do you think the video had captions on it?
True. But the racism angle, right? I mean,
Really?
we've already mentioned it, haven't we, in previous episodes where we talked about, Mace Windu, Lando,
well, yeah.
Ayla Secura,
I mean, we have.
Shakti,
I know we're beating
Mara
a dead horse
Jade,
here,
Jyn
but
Erso,
we might as well
Abeloth.
keep at it because it's absolutely true in it. They just like to conveniently ignore that shit as long as it keeps reinforcing their narrative that the only reason you don't like it because of bigotry.
Ahsoka Tano, Barriss Offee, Luminara Unduli,
Mon Mothma.
Ahsoka. Did I already
Yeah.
mention Ahsoka?
You had mentioned Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Jan
Princess Leia.
Ors, Bastila Shan,
Padme,
Asajj Ventress.
I already mentioned that.
Kreia, the
here's the
Visas
point.
Mar.
Here's the point. Here's the point. Okay, the bigotry angle isn't as solid as people like to think it is, because
well, no shit, it's barely even a liquid.
You're right. It is.
It's a gas.
If even, it's almost like just ether.
Oh, it's a gas because it fucking reeks.
Good point. Very good point. The point is, there is no logic with these people.
No.
You can't reason with them. They're almost like Terminators in that aspect. It's like they can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. They don't feel pity or remorse or fear. That's not entirely true, because obviously they did feel fear because, Acolyte gets canceled and suddenly people can't sleep at night, because that's a thing that happens.
Gotta go to
show gets
therapy
canceled
now.
that you like. Of course, the reactions. It was like popcorn worthy entertainment, reading and reacting, watching these people melt down. It's like, yeah, oh no, something I love gets completely shat on. Stings, doesn't it?
Yep. Or you know what I think? So you know how you said Disney just wants to make money?
Did I?
So, you know how you came up with the theory that Disney's a corporation, they don't care about you, they just want money?
Theory?
That's not a theory.
Okay.
It's not even. Yeah. It's not even mine.
No, not that. But the theory, I just realized. So we know that the Acolyte was a flop, right?
Correct.
Low viewership. Yeah.
Yeah. Low viewership. So they canceled it. So because I was actually looking at the Wikipedia for this old Mel Brooks movie, which love that guy, by the way, called The Producers. And do you think, since it's a flop and they lose money, the IRS won't go after them for that? Think of it as like a scheme. Do you think it's a scheme, scam, possibly?
What
they make it?
They sold the Acolyte so that they don't get the IRS after them.
They made it intentionally to lose money.
I mean, they knew it was. They knew they were just. Like I said, it has been done in the business before, where some movies were made to lose money. Yeah,
I just don't think it's happening with the Acolyte. I think that the Acolyte.
I don't think so either.
They didn't hype that show up for years just to have it fall flat on its face after one season.
Right.
I mean, we have to remember that they spent $4 billion on Star Wars when they bought it from Lucas.
Yeah.
Okay, this show was totally over $180 million. I found out that 1 minute of an episode, 630,000 a minute.
a minute. How?
Why?
They
spent $180 million on this show. What exactly did they spend it on? I'm going to bring it up because it is a shining example of how you use a small budget to make something look good. Godzilla Minus One was done on $15 million.
Yes.
The Acolyte, $180 million. What was it? 6 episodes? 8 episodes? I can't remember.
I think it was 8.
What exactly did they spend it on? Because there wasn't
the effects. No.
Like, you think of
costume
big budget
design.
You think of big budget Marvel movies costing 300 something. It's like, yeah, I can see why it costs that much because of all the stupid ass special effects. But what exactly did the Acolyte do? Was it the Matrix style flying during the lightsaber scenes?
Oh,
I see people say, "Oh, the lightsaber fights were pretty cool." I don't give a shit. I don't think it was good. And even if it was good, I'm not going to point out that it was good because overall, that only tells me that it's a shitty cupcake with really tantalizing sprinkles.
Yeah.
Why would I
We are
care?
Again, back to the cupcake analogy.
Yes, I'm going to use that cupcake analogy because it is very relevant, very accurate.
But
why would I give a damn about a shitty cupcake that has nice looking sprinkles on it when the overall substance of the thing is garbage? Okay, yeah, full subjective opinion here, right? Yeah, I did not watch The Acolyte in its purest form because I refused to. I watched it through the eyes of Despero. I linked a video in the description. You should go check them out if you haven't already. Same thing with Mr. Grizzly. Okay, I watched The Acolyte through Despero's eyes because it was miles more entertaining seeing him react to some of the stupid crap. I mean, I guess people got to, what was it, episode 3, where they started doing the power power chant. I mean, I lesbian space witches doing this weird ass chant and they do this heavy breathing. It's like, no. You have to ask yourself, who was that show for? Especially in the later episodes when you get to see Smilo Ren shirtless, taking a freaking bath.
And not even just shirtless, he's butt ass naked.
Nobody wants to fucking see that. Ugh.
No.
It's kind of disturbing.
Except for Leslie Hetland, apparently.
Yeah, but she's supposed to be a lesbian, isn't she?
She likes fish. So since when does she like eat? Of course, it's fan fiction coming from a person that eats fish tacos.
That's gross, but also funny.
Or try to take pastrami sandwiches.
Can you?
I'll just stick with the fish tacos.
Yes,
please stop talking about that shit.
But look, I've seen people on social media say that this show was doomed to fail because people were pre-criticizing it before it even came out, and it had a lot. Yeah, and it had a lot to do with Leslie Headland herself. Of course, you can't entirely blame people for feeling that way because, well, she's not exactly. I mean, with all the allegations that came out over Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein, however you want to put it, I always like to say Stein because it's like Frankenstein, but I digress. She's not exactly fondly looked upon because she wasn't just a assistant, right? Like New Rock Stars said. I mean, watch the intro, you'll know what I'm talking about. She was the personal assistant. So you have to ask yourself, one, what exactly does she know about what he did? 2, does that really matter in the context of the show? In the context of the show, no. It does. No. It's not really relevant. That being said, it's hard not to think about it. Kind of like the director of Jeepers Creepers. where it's like, oh yeah, you may have enjoyed the film, and then you start seeing certain aspects of the film and think to yourself, knowing what he did some of those elements kind of bleed into his art?
Eesh.
And look, I'm not saying that about the Acolyte. That being said, in some of those interviews, Leslie did talk about how she liked the dark side and preferred the dark side, and this show painted the dark side in a more sympathetic light, which is the complete opposite of what George Lucas Star Wars was all about. Like,
right.
You just look up the interviews or videos of George Lucas talking about light side and dark side. And look, this isn't exactly a surprise, because Leslie Headland said as much, that the Jedi weren't going to be painted in a very good light in this show. And people were like, oh, well, what is that supposed to mean? Well, she went above and beyond for that, making them out to have some of the higher ups of the council being aware of a conspiracy, a particular plot point that puts a lot into question in The Phantom Menace and even the entirety of Star Wars. So you're telling me that Ki-Adi-Mundi and Yoda knew of some kind of Sith incident, and they didn't send more people to investigate? That there wasn't more to it? And in fact, not even just not investigating it, but they covered it up to make sure that word wouldn't get out. Okay. I imagine, maybe, if George Lucas even cares anymore, that he saw that and he thought to himself, well, it's bad enough they didn't take my story scripts for 7, 8, and 9. It's not bad enough that they decided to jettison my beloved characters into the blackest pits of space, but they got to ruin the entire foundation of the Jedi while they're at it. I mean, look, how people being able to accept that, knowing very well that you're painting Yoda, of all people, in a negative light. After everything we've been through with the character, whether it be from the 6 movies or to the Clone Wars animated series or whatever other exposure you have to Yoda, you're telling me that as a fan, you can sit there, watch The Acolyte, having the context and knowledge, knowing that this show has painted him and Ki-Adi-Mundi and the entire Jedi Order in a negative light. You're telling me that you can sit there and you can accept that. I can't buy that. And I can't buy how these people get invited out to these Star Wars events paid for by Disney. They sit there and say, we're not paid shills. That Disney and Lucasfilm welcome criticism, yet most of the reviews that come out are the opposite of criticism. It's not even, I'm not even talking about, oh, this was a shit show. I'm talking about these aspects, the aspects that break the canon, that bring a lot into question. For example, why would you set this series 100 years before The Phantom Menace, knowing damn well that these characters, with the exception of Ki-Adi-Mundi, who shouldn't even be alive yet, and Yoda, that they didn't know? That these characters, Smilo Ren, Amandla Stenberg's character, these characters are not in the prequels. They're not in the Clone Wars. They're not in any of the more recent stuff that Disney's put out until The Acolyte, which means their story is practically irrelevant. It's useless because we don't see them again. They have no play in future events. They're not there.
They're just
I'm sure they were gonna try and work on that if the show kept going, though. They were gonna find some, like, if that mystery figure at the end of the last episode, and I do mean last episode, was actually Plagueis. Do you think they would have, like, oh, she had some connection with Palpatine at some point? They're gonna try and shoehorn that into something with the prequels or even the OG, or his somehow returning. You know, they would have found a way. They'd shoehorn it, because God fucking forbid that there are some stories in Star Wars that aren't that tightly connected. Like, would it be fair? Like, yeah, they take place in the same large universe, but do they really need to have too much connective tissue? No. Like, I wouldn't want to hear anything like how, I don't know, Revan's story inspired Anakin when it came to seeing, like, just how the Sith were the strong and only the strong must survive. Like, no, you don't need to go that far. Like, at all. Not everything needs to be that interconnected. But, or if, I don't know, let's say Kyle Katarn was one of the stormtroopers that we see in Return of the Jedi or something. Like, I don't know. Just small examples. Like, again, trying to interconnect every tiny, minute detail, as far as I'm concerned, is a complete waste of time, especially if you don't have enough gas in the tank to keep your show going. Because you obviously don't at this point, because, well, you know, it ain't happening.
Nobody watched. Well, exactly. I mean, not nobody, but you get the point. It's enough people did not tune in for Disney to say, yeah, let's continue this. And let's touch on that. Let's touch on these people saying that, Disney caved into the shills. How many times have Star Wars fans openly criticized projects that Disney's put out? I mean, the sequel trilogy. After The Last Jedi, how many people were in an uproar about how the story had been handled? Not just with Luke Skywalker, but Finn, for example. Okay, of course, John Boyega's come out in support of Amandla, against all the racist shit. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people?
Best.
Where the hell?
Please not been where you are, sir.
Where the hell were these racists when Rogue One came out?
Nowhere.
In fact, I think that a lot, not all, a lot of the reception for Rogue One, out of all the Disney Star Wars products or projects, Rogue One has been very well received.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, season 1 of The Mandalorian, very well received. And if you think about it, the advertising for season 1 of The Mandalorian featured Carl Weathers, a black actor. I don't recall people complaining about him being in a Star Wars show, about a black man being in a Star Wars show. So where do those people go? Right? We already know it's all bullshit. But for those who like to think that the spooky racists are just hiding around the corner waiting to strike, where the hell were they when these characters were put out in the public?
They call me crazy. Call me crazy. I'm pretty sure Rogue One had, like, that whole crew. Rogue One, they were pretty diverse, weren't they?
Yeah.
I don't think there was a single white guy in there.
Yeah, I think there was an Asian.
You had a white woman, and I'm not going to count Alan Tudyk because he was playing a droid, not a man.
Not a person, not a human.
True.
Yet people still like that show. I mean, look, the people that really don't like Disney. Okay, we know that there was a story that had already been told about how Princess Leia got the Death Star plans, and you can argue about the quality of Rogue One. Personal standpoint, I don't mind Rogue One. It's one of the less egregious Disney projects that have been made. I can sit down, I can watch it, I can enjoy it. It doesn't scream at me that it's filled with identity politics. Its diverse cast doesn't point out the fact that they're so diverse. They're literally characters in the world. Contrary to what the shills, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't use the term shills loosely. It's just I look at these people that get pampered by Disney and they don't give out a lot of negative criticism or criticism in general.
And their reaction content is arguably worse, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, because it's over the top. I mean, they obviously hype it up because they're Well, they got to get those nice juicy paychecks.
Got to live up to their end of the bargain, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Get
my
those
god!
stickers, you know?
Oh my god! That lightsaber's orange. We never. Who cares what color the fucking lightsaber is? It like none of it feels real to me at all. It's just, again, just living up to their end of the deal. Like, okay, I'm gonna freak out at the mere sight of, oh my god, someone stepped off a ship. Oh my god, who is that?
It's not authentic.
Oh my
it's
god,
not an authentic reaction.
Oh my god, she slapped a stormtrooper in the face and he fell down somehow. That makes no fucking sense.
He Vadered.
Oh god, I hate that.
You want to know a real or an authentic reaction? Star Wars theory when Sebastian Skywalker showed up in season 2 of The Mandalorian.
When Luke Skywalker showed up, yeah.
Yeah.
He's where he started crying. And look, Pablo Hidalgo, one of the writers or one of the guys behind, in the Lucasfilm storyboard department or whatever, gave some negative flack to Star Wars theory about that. Like, some people shouldn't put their reactions out on the internet because theory was crying. Knowing, you have to know the context about Star Wars theory. Okay, he had, I think it was cancer or it was a medical condition, and what helped him get through that tough time was Luke Skywalker. So you can imagine when someone like him sits down, watches The Last Jedi, and sees their favorite character getting butchered and insulted and belittled, then to have the Mandalorian show up and give us a semblance of that old Luke Skywalker with the green lightsaber and the black outfit, all that, okay? The reaction.
Just going to town.
Yeah, he's going full on Anakin Skywalker.
Somebody can get emotional about that. Having that sort of connection to a character. Something that has had a significant impact on one's life, right? And then you could, you're going to have people that could apply that very same logic to the Acolyte. I'm thinking to myself, right, you could. Of course, I can't entirely believe that you're being genuine about it because this show actively bastardizes George Lucas Star Wars in so many ways. So much so that you take the vague plot point about Plagueis wanting to create life, okay, to say that, oh, well, actually, he learned it from a bunch of random space lesbian witches on some far-off planet that managed to create twins using the Force and scissors.
Ugh. Gross. But ugh.
No, stop.
Ugh. That's just disturbing.
The point is, they have changed that origin. Or maybe not so much change, but they've added on to it. An unnecessary addition. And it can change your perception because, first of all, Plagueis failed. If you read the Plagueis novel, he failed to create life. Okay? And in retaliation, the Force created Anakin. That's why you have the miracle birth with Shmi Skywalker. That there was no father. Mm-hmm. It happened. Okay? It was the Force retaliating. But what the Acolyte is saying is that some random space witches we've never heard of succeeds where a practicing Dark Lord of the Sith failed.
Right.
See, it's not that he failed that has people pissed off. It's that you showed women doing a better job than a man as if that's supposed to mean something. And it's not even just women. It's random characters we've never heard of, never seen, that just show up and are magically able to do what he failed to do. The logic ain't there.
No.
That's one of the biggest gripes that I have and many other people have. But speaking from me, I have a big gripe with that because you take someone who I wish we would get something to see his origins or to see him train Palpatine. That'd be really cool to see. I mean, you read the book, that's pretty much what you get. But having that as a movie would have been really cool to sort of tie into leading up to the prequels and stuff. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, Acolyte is in the trash. Oh, you know what? I do have to reference or acknowledge the change.org petition for hashtag renew the Acolyte.
Oh boy.
What is it? Over 50,000 signatures?
Has this ever worked? Has it, like, sign the petition to have the writers or just replace the writers of Game of Thrones season 8 with competent writers? Did it work? No. Like, why even bother? Like, you're just pissing in the wind. It's not happening. Like, low viewership can't be undone. You can, despite this, I saw this on Drunk 3PO's video just recently that people are saying, just throw it on in the background, sound off and everything. Let's just get those view numbers boosted, right? So we can get that season 2.
Even if they do that, it's still not going to work because you still need an ass ton of people to actually tune in. And because you told them not to tune in, they took your advice. They went the other direction. They found other entertainment.
As they should. Again, the whole don't like it, don't watch it is just not a good approach. Now, is it? Like,
Frost.
Hi.
How many people have forgotten about her anyway? Like, I can't forget about her just because of that one bit.
I mean, overall, she doesn't matter anymore. But we're not going to forget that moment. We're not going to forget the part where she was all smug about how she initially wasn't fired from G4. With their little "I survived" tweet, and then saying, "Let's play some games, yo." And then, like, the next day or 2 days later, it doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, you're out too. Whoops.
And G4 TV is no more.
Yeah, G4's dead. Like, again, every time you invite, you're not really inviting, you're disinviting everyone to watch your shit. Like, I'm just trying to figure out, where do you come up with this? Like, I know what we do isn't going to be for everyone, but I'm not going to go out with the smug, if you don't like us, don't watch it. It's like, hey, if you don't like it, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to do it. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you.
People
like,
tune
it's
in,
just, it's two different, it's the same sort of message, but it's conveyed in two different ways, where one, it's like, okay, you're just an asshole. You're being civil and you understand. Again, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. That's just how it is. But again, and then they play the whole "this wasn't made for you" crap, which I hate so fucking much. It hurts to think about it. Every time. Like, I saw the old fucking meme showing the fucking articles for that Charlie's Angels reboot a few years ago. This movie wasn't made for you. Straight white man, this movie wasn't made for you. Movie flops. Why aren't straight white men seeing this?
Well, because you told us it wasn't meant for us.
Exactly.
Kind of like, do you have like amnesia or something? It's like sometimes they forget that they insulted the audience. Like, yeah.
Oh, whoopsie daisy. Again, why would you say that? With the whole, it's not made for you, but every time you put a product out there, you want it to appeal to as much as to the big consumer masses as much as you can. But every time you take one certain group, even if it's a minority group or the vast majority, which they seem to be doing now, telling us to just go away, don't watch it, this ain't for you. It's like, okay, then I wasn't interested anyway. Well, why didn't you watch it? Now we're getting canceled. You said you didn't want me to watch it because you were in fear that I was going to say negative things about it, and you were right. But I didn't watch it anyway, so you're getting canceled. Reap what you sow.
Well, okay, let's ask a question then. Okay, if we'll use the Acolyte, if the Acolyte wasn't made for Star Wars fans, who was it made for? Because you have to. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying not with the whole Shills thing, because they're always going for certain demographics too. They're always trying to reel in these minority demographics by, like, that's why they promote the shit out of this diversity crap. They think, hey, we're speaking to those minorities by promoting the diversity. So they'll have to see it because being seen is so important to them. Even if some people of certain demographics really aren't into Star Wars to begin with.
That's the thing. That's the thing about marketing shows or creating shows for certain groups of people. When they're making shows, they do have an audience in mind. When you make an action film, like we'll use Rambo, for example.
Sure.
First Blood Part 2. You watch that movie, that is balls to the walls action. It is a batshit insane film. Rambo literally takes out a bow with an explosive tip arrow and blows some dude up. Okay. 9 times out of 10, the people watching that type of content are men.
Right.
Men.
And 9 times out of 10, who's watching the rom-coms?
Women. Okay.
Exactly.
There's nothing inherently wrong with that. If it so happens that you have women that are into Rambo like the men, I can guarantee you there are plenty of men that would be like, yeah, come on in. You want to watch this with us? Okay. It's that bonding. Okay.
Yeah.
That it's nice to be able to have a woman that is into the same stuff you are. Because look, yeah, a lot of these franchises, it's a sausage fest. Look, we have male bonding, right? There, you have your best friend who's a guy. You're all tight. You're all good. It's nice to have women in there too, where it's like, hey, you know what? I can see a future with this woman. She's into the same stuff I am. We have common ground. That's how relationships work. You find common ground, and you bond over that, right? Exactly. So where did this mindset of, oh, the men don't want the women to join in on the fun, right? Where did that come from?
I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Maybe Gamergate sparked it or something. I don't know, because they were always trying to pretend that, with the Gamergate movement, gamers just want to remain a boys' club. That was not fucking true at all. We just didn't want these feminist ideologies being driven by Anita Sarkeesian, infesting or restricting the gaming hobby that we all love. Like, again, it's good to expand your horizons, yes, but don't try and reel people in by pandering to them on the most basic level. That just makes you look like an asshole trying to prove to everyone that you are such a good person by promoting your diverse cast. That while diversity on the most basic level is there, the characters are just flat, one-dimensional cardboard cutouts. You're not getting anybody there. It's just not going to work. Like, again, all you got to do is just take a goddamn look at the demographics. And this whole blaming everything on some kind of ism or phobia, it's just ridiculous. I mean, again, going back to something like The Marvels, which was the MCU's biggest flop, and they try and say it's all because of sexism. But if you look at the fucking statistics to see who went and saw it the most, guess what? It was mostly guys. And I guarantee you, a bunch of them were probably just the MCU loving normies.
Yeah.
They don't care about that shit, and whatever, that's fine. They just wanted to go see the next Marvel movie because, hey, they're still into it, even if the quality has tipped quite a bit since Endgame. Right. But whatever. They're keeping an open mind. Bless them. That's okay. But that didn't stop these idiots from saying, oh, it's because of sexism it bombed, or it's because of racism because the director is a black woman. I didn't even know that at first. I didn't.
Okay.
Furthermore,
I mean,
I didn't care.
That's the thing with the Acolyte is that they were promoting it as a very female driven,
Right.
And getting back to the demographics, like who's your audience, right? A lot of the Star Wars audience is men, because it's usually men that are into the science fiction, the action. Women are into different things, and that's all right. That's not to say that women can't be into the same stuff as men. I feel like that's almost like a non-point. I shouldn't have to say that. Just like I shouldn't have to say, "Oh, racism. I detest racism." It's like I don't need to say that. I don't need to say any of these things. I don't need to say that I'm against any of these things because it's kind of like a given, right? Like, yeah, I don't need to say that sexism is bad. You don't need to hear me say, "Oh, well, I don't condone this, or that." It's kind of like a non-point. You go into these conversations knowing you're going to deal with a very diverse group of people with different backgrounds, different tastes. You shouldn't have to start your conversation with, "Oh, I just want to start and say, I detest racism." It's like, yeah, no shit. You don't need to say that. I don't need to hear that because you already know you're going to be going into an arena with different people from different backgrounds. So I'm not going to say it. That being said, you can make something that can appeal to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that it will be for everybody.
No.
Just remember that.
Everyone's taste differs based on individualism.
Something that they don't really like. They
really don't.
Think. They like people that will just continue to go see the same sludge that's put out on the assembly line. You mentioned Marvel. You mentioned the people that just go see the next Marvel project. Not really questioning. It's like, oh, it's the new Marvel movie. Let's go check it out. It's almost like a tradition.
Now, I just want to say this real quick. Going back to what you just said before you went back to Marvel there. Just to quote Norm Macdonald, but no offense, but that sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook to me. Anyway. But you're right, though. Some of them, they're ignorant to the whole thing, and in some ways, I envy that. Like, you're not seeing the ugly side. Sometimes it's good not to, but at the same time, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and you got to expose it. That's why we're here.
It reminds me of a line from The Matrix where Neo and Morpheus are talking, and Neo asked Morpheus if he can go back into the Matrix and not remember any of it, any of the information that he now knows, the truth. He asked Morpheus, "Can I go back without, knowing all that?" And Morpheus said, "No, you can't. But even if you could, would you really want to?" Because it's kind of like opening a can of worms or opening up Pandora's box, whatever terminology you want to use. When you see the truth, it's hard for you not to see it. For example, David Tennant breaks my heart. I watched a video. He was being interviewed by some LGBT activist or something. It was on some kind of event for LGBT stuff, and he said some pretty heavy stuff, like, the people who aren't pro LGBT or they're just a minority. They're just a bunch of I can't remember all of what he said, but he said that they're on the wrong side of history and that they'll be gone soon.
He said that.
Now that was a very kind of ominous thing he said. That particularly the bit about that they'll be gone soon. It kind of got me thinking about some stuff. I don't know. It was just weird, but it was also pretty upsetting because this is a guy that I admired for his work on Doctor Who. That's what I remember most about him. The intensity he brought to the role of the Doctor and the emotion and the drama. It was It was good. It was enjoyable. He's my favorite doctor. I still like his doctor. That being said, it's my view on his performance is tainted because of the truth of some of the stuff that he said. Like it hurts even more. It hurts even more because I met the man. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with him too, with Mark Hamill.
Speaking of which, this is a perfect segue into that.
We met him. Me and Carter, we had a photo up with him. It was kind of a funny story. So when we were buying the photo op tickets, we didn't realize that when you bought one photo op ticket that you could use that for multiple people. So we ended up buying 3 photo ops tickets, thinking for myself, my father, and Carter. So we ended up getting 3 different photos, and 2 of the photos were like bloopers. Literally, like my dad, he was wearing a Darth Vader glove for some reason, and he was trying to coach Carter on a proper position to pose for the camera. And he literally did this. The way his hand was, it looked like he was doing a force choke. It was, and Mark Hamill was just sitting there in his chair. He's just doing a pose, and it was funny. It was a mess that day, but it was funny. It was great. And it was a lesson learned that, hey, one photo op ticket can cover multiple people. Make sure you read the fine print next time. But it was nice. It was fun. We didn't talk with him very much at all. It wasn't one of those things. But it was nice. It was fun for that. These days, though, with everything that he said, all the bullshit that has come out of his mouth, it is so hard to look at that because this is a guy that I grew up with, right? I grew up watching Luke Skywalker. I grew up watching the Joker, and to see him go down, and it's not even over simple disagreements on politics. This is something where he's like he has such radical perspectives that it's almost like, well, if you're the opposite of me, then you are the enemy, and there is no
Sith deals in absolutes.
And when you have that type of mindset, it's hard to be invested in someone's performance. Like the whole separating the art from the artist, it's hard when you have that person that is demonizing you for being of a certain perspective. And they haven't even met you. They haven't talked with you. They don't know your personal life, your personal experiences. They just lump you in with the crowd and say, well, that's all she wrote.
Just basically, what is the term? Basically, like, goddamn, categorizes you. Like, goddamn, I can't remember the fucking term. I can't remember.
You're on the right path.
Places you in like a group or something. Like, just because you support that guy automatically makes you. That's basically like that's like the Nazis just saying that to Jews though. Oh, so you're not Austrian or you're not German or you're not of the Aryan race. So guess what? So you are not. So basically, you're an enemy. So you're just with them.
Well, let's not mince that because it wasn't just the non-desirables. It was people that also didn't go along with the program.
Right.
Exactly.
The Germans or the Nazis, they weren't just going after people that didn't look like them. They went after their own people first. They went after the people that would have stood against their bullshit, took away their rights, and then they started going after everybody else.
That sounds like a raging leftist to me.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like history repeating itself, just in a different format.
But even back with Mark Hamill there, I mean, the way how he brings that shit to conventions. Like,
how about the prices?
Oh,
Jesus,
autographs.
Jesus. That, I mean, look, Hayden was half of that. But But that's just for the photo op that I bought. But you know what? That was worth it. Like, to get a printed photo with Anakin Skywalker himself, $200? Fuck it, I'll pay it. I mean,
we're talking $700.
I know.
For autographs, not even a photo op. Not okay. Quick little side note. So there was a convention that Arnold Schwarzenegger was attending.
Yep.
And with this
San
at this convention, they had a thing where you could pay $1,000 to have dinner with him.
Yep.
Okay?
Oh yeah, I
It's
remember
like
that.
it's like okay, you get to spend the evening with him having dinner. Okay, $1,000. I can understand it. I wouldn't do it. I can understand it though. You're going out to dinner with somebody. You're spending the evening having a conversation. Okay. Then you look at something like Mark Hamill. $700 for an autograph. Not a photo op. An autograph. An autograph bundle, mind you, but autograph nonetheless. How?
Shit.
Dude, I would excuse me, what am I getting? What am I doing? Like $700 for an autograph. Like what am I paying? Am I paying for you to sign something, or am I making a damn card payment? I would rather make a card payment than do that shit.
Think about this. Let's say you get an autograph bundle for Mark Hamill where he signs a Luke Skywalker toy, and you want to do something like make a profit off of it. Let's say you were going to sell that toy for $1,000 because Mark Hamill signed it. First of all, I don't know who you're going to get to buy that, but even if you did, your profit, you're only going to make about $300 because you paid $700 for the autograph, and you're only going to make $300, and that's not even including how much you had to pay for the toy.
That I'm not sure if that would be a good way of flipping the whole thing, but whatever.
But if it
fuck,
sorry, but if it was 1978 and you had a fucking Kenner toy of Luke Skywalker and he signed that thing, I bet you back then it would have cost like $20. It would have been like $500. But if it was in today's value, I'm pretty sure it would be probably more than that. Possibly.
T. Con says, yeah, the photo op thingy with Mark Hamill is excellent for us. As he sat mumbling as I taught Carter Sauce the ways of the Force, he reminded me of Theoden King being seduced by Grimace Wormtongue.
Ouch.
Are we getting dry tucked by Hamill for photo ops? Before the park side of the park side of Hamill that we remember him?
I assume you meant Dark Side. I don't know, but look, even that speech that he did, the "Go Force Yourself."
Yeah.
Again, this isn't even about which side of the spectrum he's on. Like, even if he was more radical right wing, I'd still call him a piece of shit here. Because you know what? Nobody comes to these conventions to listen to you spout your politics. The fact that right after that, he said, I don't want to bring politics here. You just fucking did.
It's
too late.
The cat is out of the bag.
Whoops.
Dude, here's the thing. Look, I'm sorry. I'll just put a pin in that for a minute. Here's the thing, though. If you are a fucking celebrity, like high-end celebrity, and very respected, and you have a shit and a giant fan base, things you don't want to do. Dude, talking about politics and other stuff, dude, that's fucking career suicide. You might as well just fucking say, hey, guess what? I think Donald Trump should be, whoever tried to kill Donald Trump should have fucking aimed a little to the left, though. Dude, you would have been canceled.
Tenacious D.
Yeah, like, god damn it, dude.
That pisses me off because I like Tenacious D.
Damn it, Jack. Dude, shut the fuck up about... See, this is why politics ruins everything. I wish that there was a world where no politics fucking existed. There's no leftists, there's no rightists, there's no bullshit.
Well, that's never going to happen because...
Hippie.
Hey,
it's part of the formula of our current society.
That's the ugly truth. But again, the only, like, I'll tell you this right now, like, with the comments that he made at that fucking convention, like, as much as people were cheering him, it's like the only because they are the consumer masses at this point. Like, they don't care at this point because there they are watching Mark Hamill on stage in the flesh. At this point, do they even care what he says? No, they just want to look at him. Like, oh, but, like, there will be those people who will just, pull the Adam Sessler, clap like a retarded seal, no matter what he says. But it's like, I could tell you right now, every time, there are times now where where these celebrities want to bring politics to every event they go to. And I like it a lot more when the people finally tell them, no. Like, there was some kind of show Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones was doing, and it was in Canada. And he started to go on about how much he likes Justin Trudeau. And guess what happened? Boo! He was getting fucking booed for that. It's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Because entertainment, as it always should be, because it always has been our escapism. Stop bringing the real world into this fucking shit. We can just forget about it for the next couple hours of our lives. Like, every time I go to the Cineplex, there's always this ad that always talks about just breaking down what it is, what it means to be in the theater. We turn off the world. That's actually a quote they say in this ad. It's like, look, despite the setbacks that the movie-going experience can have anymore, every time I see that ad, I just feel so zen. Like, I feel that. It's like, yeah. Like, here I am, sitting in this dark room where the only light is that fucking projector screen. I care nothing of what's going on outside this room. Nothing. There could be a fucking hurricane outside. It's like, I wouldn't bat an eyelash because clearly it's not affecting me in here. And everything's still going, so. Again, and the same can be said when you go to these conventions. You are shutting that shit right out. No politics, none of the adult shit. I mean, the only adulting you really had to do was pay to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course the inevitable merchandise and overpriced merchandise. Let's be real here. Like the jacket I'm wearing. But again, the most adulting thing you're going to do at a convention is just spend money.
Yeah,
and
be an
the
adult
sad
child.
the sad thing is that's a good thing. And you know what? Considering that just recently I went to an amusement park, I feel the same way when you go to places like that as well. You just shut all the bullshit in the world out. But people like Mark Hamill bringing this shit to a convention, it's like politics is like that fucking asshole at the window who just won't stop banging on the damn thing, right? He brings in politics, the window's broken. Now it's getting in.
Mm-hmm.
What
You know
have
what?
you done?
Okay, let me tell you something. If I ever hosted a Comic-Con, yes, or whatever whatever convention, if I was fuck off. Here's the thing. Shut up. If I was ever hosting a Comic-Con, and if I was like the president of it, I would tell my guests or my celebrity guests, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna let you guys. No, shut up. I was gonna say, okay, so whenever you do those Q&A panels, for the love of God, okay, here's what you can do. You have free range of everything. Just don't mention fucking politics. If I even hear a single blip about any type of politics of the real world, I'm shutting this shit down, and I'm shutting your shit down. I'll shut you down.
You know what I find interesting, though, in contrast to that, is like people don't even want it when it comes to religion.
Yeah,
now,
like
I'll be real with you. I'll take religion any day of the week.
political
Like,
beliefs.
because you know what? There is still, despite some shit that goes on in the shelves with some religious cults, like even the ones that seem to be the morally righteous ones, like let's just say, I don't know, at a convention, Jason David Frank talked about how he became the Jesus-loving guy that he was. It's like,
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's like, go ahead. I don't care, because he's not being an asshole about it. Like, he's bringing the positive side to it. But Mark Hamill bringing this whole, unless you're MAGA, go force yourself. It's like, well,
he's being deliberately antagonistic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, dude, you were just...
What's going on, J-Man? Welcome.
What's up? Kimisabe. Like, dude, you are just asking for fucking trouble. Like, dude, like, there's a time and a place for politics at a convention, a movie theater, or any other place. Not the time nor place. Just no. Just
no.
But it's like that fucking Family Guy meme. No, not you. Like, you know, when they put their hands, like, no, not you.
Well, let me add on to that in regards for marketing for movies, TV shows, or video games, entertainment in general. Okay. I mentioned this in what has now become a meme on this channel until it gets completed. My critique of Terminator Dark Fate. I mentioned in the first episode, or the first installment, that Hollywood was smart back in the day to not have the actors go on and talk about their politics for the most part, especially in press tours promoting their projects. Why? Because the moment you start talking about politics, you're going to start dividing your community, your fan base. The truth of the matter is, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, any fan base is going to have people from different walks of life tuning in. And the moment you start promoting a certain political side, you're going to naturally start dividing your community to the point where you're going to say something that one side will agree with you on, but the other side won't. And those that don't agree with you are going to start looking at you in a different light. They're not going to look at you as this larger-than-life figure that you tune into when you're having a bad day or when you come home from work. They're going to look at you with how you've been promoting your content. You're associating your content with your politics to the point where they become one and the same. So let's use the Acolyte. Their marketing was largely focused on its diversity. Right. Funny enough, that same mindset has been used for several projects looking specifically at Disney. They use the diversity as the selling point to the point where people started getting tired of it. They like to talk about the boogeyman, their own personal boogeyman or boogeymen. The people that don't agree with the representation, the people they'll call the ists and the phobes. It's ironic. They keep marketing it and they keep crying about it. And all of their actions are inadvertently creating those boogeymen. Here's why. You have people that have preconceived ideas and feelings on certain subjects. Okay. A lot of people don't want to think about who you sleep with. And it doesn't matter if you're straight or if you're gay. People don't want to know.
No.
People aren't going to go out of their way to tell you how you should live your life because a lot of people understand that at the end of the day, it's not their business.
It's not your goddamn business.
The problem is that when you go out on press tours promoting entertainment, the very thing people like to tune into to get away from the real world, and the only thing they see is the things they don't want to see, the things they don't want to talk about, because it's not the time or place. You can understand how people are going to start becoming more negative or aggressive to seeing it, because it's been shoved down your throat so many times. Anytime you see it, you're going to have an immediate negative reaction, because that's how they have let it fester as. They let it develop that way. So you have a show or a franchise that has done nothing but promote its diverse characters. Oh, we have our first gay character. Oh, we have our first black female character. Or we have our first black gay female trans character. You get that same thing repeated over and over and over. And you apply that with seeing it in the media, where you have more of that promoting going on. You blend those two together, somebody's going to get turned off to your entertainment, because they're no longer going to see what is supposed to be entertainment as entertainment. They're seeing it as an extension of the media.
Propaganda.
An extension of the real world. Propaganda. And they'll turn it off. If we don't like it, don't watch it. Okay. You've let that happen. We walk away from it, and it fails. And you have the cancellation of the Acolyte. The gayest Star Wars show?
Who cares?
The gayest Star Wars show. I forgot that's what people go to Star Wars for, because of its gay characters.
Bullshit.
Right? That's why we go to Star Wars.
Oh, and let's also talk in interviews about fucking a little astro droid's sexuality. What the fuck even was that? I think R2 is a lesbian. What?
It's canon.
Mm.
Canonically, R2 is a lesbian.
What?
Isn't R2 supposed to be more male orientated?
Well, I'm pretty sure. Well,
More importantly, who fucking cares? It's a fucking droid. It's not even a droid like 3PO that has some basic human features like limbs.
Yeah, no humanoid
voice.
features.
Exactly. So why are we hung up on this now? Because that's all they see. This is what they know. Who said it herself now? Write what you know. That line comes exactly from Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslie Headland. So, yeah, she is writing what she knows, because in her twisted little mind, she is hung up on sexuality of astro droids. Why? But, there's something else I wanted to go back to. Something about Carr said with Mark Hamill bringing politics to conventions. I think you gave him too much credit. Because let's be real here. He is not a really big Hollywood celebrity. He is not a movie star. He is basically a two-trick pony. At best, he's a two-trick pony. Because while there may be some other characters he has played in his career that we know besides Luke Skywalker, but most of his other roles are voices.
Yeah.
Like, he's a more prominent voice actor than anything. He is not a movie star. Like, there is a reason why I still love that line from Blue Harvest when we're introduced to Peter Solo, where he says he's the only actor whose career isn't destroyed by this movie. Because if anyone walked away from Star Wars being an actual movie star, it was Harrison Ford. That's the reality, and that's actually the reason Mark Hamill refused to do a cameo for that one. So take that as you will.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what do you remember Mark Hamill for? It's either Luke Skywalker or the Joker.
Yeah. Like those are basically the only two that come to mind. No one's gonna fucking say what's his name? Firelord Ozai from Avatar: The Last Airbender. No one's gonna fucking say that first. No one. It will come later in the conversation, I'm sure. Or maybe I don't know.
I know he did a voice.
The one time he briefly voiced Scooby-Doo. Kind of.
Oh, he was in on Zombie Island. He played Snakebite Scruggs, the fisherman. He was in that.
Very obscure, I think, is the point in comparison to what we know him as, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Again, no.
Oh, not to mention.
Sure, you played one of the greatest protagonists, but as far as the whole having a real movie career, yeah, one-hit wonder. Now, three movies, but one character.
Yeah, I mean, Harrison Ford, obviously, more successful. He's done so much.
Yeah.
Which is why he held himself back, because he was about to go political too, from what I heard. They were at a convention together, and Harrison Ford was about to go into something, but he pulled himself back because he knew better. That let's not get into politics. And even Mark Hamill even said that, I shouldn't have gone into politics. But then why would you mention it? Look, the guy has severe TDS. Anything to do with Donald Trump, he freaks out. And it gets to a point where...
And he never shuts up either.
Yeah. I mean, and then not even... And it went beyond Donald Trump. It went to anyone who supported him. That's why, he says, if you're MAGA, you can go force yourself. I mean, divisive. You're dividing your fans. You're running away whoever is left that had any kind of respect for you. That, it might not even be people that are Trump supporters. It might just be people that hear you talk about the dude nonstop, and they're like, Jesus Christ, we get it. You don't like the guy. Can you shut up about it?
Like, change the damn subject?
Stephen King. It's like, I don't know. It's the way they go on about it. It's like, we get it. He took you out for a nice seafood dinner and he didn't call you again. We get it. Because that's what it comes off as. They sound like deranged exes of his. I mean, because now you got Mark Hamill talking about the size of Trump's penis. Why are you talking about that?
And how do you know? Did you talk to Stormy Daniels? How do you know about his dick, huh?
Who cares? Who cares? Seriously, I don't understand. How is this even relevant? Why? Here's the point. Here's the overall point, and this isn't exclusive to Mark Hamill. This is a lesson to be learned for film, for promoting a film. Don't involve politics, especially identity politics. You start injecting identity politics into your media, you're going to divide people. And because we've been so ham-fisted with the identity politics message, people are going to start turning away. It's happening very slowly. I mean, I think that the Acolyte was a big wake-up call. The mere fact that it was canceled and that Disney openly said as much.
Yeah, we fucked up.
Like, think about this, because we talked about Rian Johnson earlier. Okay,
fuck that asshole.
We all know that they talked about the Rian Johnson trilogy post Last Jedi. That was years ago. Where is it at? Anytime that gets asked, oh, it's still in development. It's not happening.
No.
Nope.
But you know what? Now that I think about it, seeing Mark Hamill the way he is, maybe Rian Johnson was onto something, huh?
Oh,
trying to warn us that this is the kind of person he has become. He really is Jake Skywalker. But,
well, I don't know, man. It kind of gives you a different perspective on the Last Jedi.
but with everything going on in entertainment, going back to that don't like it, don't watch it crap. This needs to be a lesson for all creatives out there. Don't be hostile to potential paying customers. Like, that's like being a clerk at a 7-Eleven or a Circle K or some shit. Customer walks in, and the first thing you do is tell them to get out because they didn't check off your diversity box or some shit. Like, get out of here, you cisgender, hetero, white male. This place wasn't made for you.
Really
and then you go out of business. Whoops.
Yeah.
It's almost as if insulting people that may fund your shit to keep making your shit is not a good business move. And I need to go back to another example of when the outcry did not fall on deaf ears or condescending ears that they just threw back at you. Because just yesterday, I saw the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I am excited for, by the way. I mean, you had me at Keanu Reeves, but then again, you had me at fucking Shadow the Hedgehog from that fucking teaser in part 2. That's all I need. And, like, I put up that post saying, color me excited. And then Chris comments how excited he is, and I even said, and to think, we wouldn't have gotten this far were it not for the fan outcry, would we? Because all we really said with that first trailer to that first movie was that design for Sonic is atrocious. The teeth are nightmare fuel. The eyes are too friggin' small. Where are the fucking gloves? Where are the big ass shoes? Like, he already looks artificial as he is. Just go the extra mile, make him look cartoony with a bit of make his fur more detailed like it was. That's all you have to do. And rather than the director calling us a bunch of insecure little gamer chuds, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. That didn't happen. And there's a damn good reason why. Now, I know I've talked about this on the show many times before, but the optimist in me wants to believe that as a creative, this director wanted to put something out there that people are going to like. I want to believe that, and I do believe that to some extent. Like, of course, when you make something, you want to put it out there. You want people to enjoy it. That's how it should be. But I also look at it at what we've been talking about on the show before. The industry is, first and foremost, a business. The producers of the Sonic movie, they knew with the amount of backlash just on one design for our titular character, like from everything they knew was going on the internet with this negative feedback, no one is going to want to look at that thing for more than a minute.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, the biggest criticism is that, well, he looks atrocious, and they basically are just saying that he just needs to look like he does in the games. Can we do that? And then the director says, we hear you. That's what he says. We hear you. Like, they did a complete overhaul in the design. They pushed back the release date because they had the time, they had the money. They went ahead with it. And then when they released the new design and the second trailer, everyone basically said,
that's better.
Yeah, there you go. And then look at that. Excitement was actually starting to pick up. The movie comes out, gets generally positive reception. Not great. The movie wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable. And more importantly, it was a hit at the box office, prompting them to make a sequel, which was even better. And by the way, while we're still on the subject of designs, just given that we got that teaser of Tails at the end of part 1,
yeah,
I'm starting to wonder, did they have to redesign Tails as well?
Oh,
probably.
Yeah. But yeah, then we got
least
Sonic
they
2,
teased
we got Sonic 2, which was a better movie, at least in my opinion it was, and I'm sure most people felt that way. And now, look at that, we're getting Sonic 3. And yes, first trailer drops, we're excited. No overwhelmingly negative feedback to it, just because Keanu Reeves voicing fan favorite Shadow the Hedgehog. And of course, I mean, you got Jim Carrey. Now he's playing 2 characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I think we're in for a pretty good movie with this one.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not expecting it to I'm not expecting this one to be high art because it is, at the end of the day, it's Sonic. I'm just expecting just what I expected out of the first two. Just a damn good time at the theater.
Yeah.
You see, it doesn't have to be the greatest movie ever made either.
No.
Like it can just be a fun movie that you can take your family to, have a good time. You know, that's what it can be.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
just
have
like
to
the
be
Mario
anything
movie.
more. Right. It doesn't have to be anything more.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I wonder to myself, you know, why is it that more companies don't take that mindset? Why don't they, you know, clench down more on their marketing where it's like, hey, you know what? Give consumers things that they would want. I'm not saying to blindly cater to them. It's just look at trends, look at things that worked, and then try and replicate that success in your own way. Not straight up copy, but understand that, hey, okay, these certain elements work and these certain elements don't. Okay. I'll use like Terminator, for example. Stop using the same tire old formula of sending a machine back into the past because we've already got that several hundred times. Set movies in the future. Start telling some compelling stories in that time period. You know, give us a war movie like Saving Private Ryan, but in Terminator. You know, give us a John Carpenter's The Thing type Terminator film where you don't know who's the Terminator because guess what? It's a T-800. We don't have anything that can detect whether or not someone's human or machine. Ramping up the tension. You know, there's plenty of things that you can do with that franchise that can separate it from what we already have. It's a pretty easy formula, I think.
But even just the small nugget of something the fans want to see. I wouldn't say it could save the movie, but at least you'll be looking back at that and say, well, that was good, even in an otherwise not so good movie. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows. That had a lot of misfires, like how they bastardized this character. That's my Casey Jones mask over there.
Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good actor. Good actor, terrible casting decision. But there was a golden nugget in that movie. Like, what was something that fans really wanted to see on the big screen? I'll tell you what it was. Seeing the Turtles fighting Bebop and Rocksteady. Like, seeing that was fucking cool. But the rest of the movie wasn't that good. But just for that moment there, I felt like I had a smile on my face. Like, yeah, this is good.
Terminator Zero is pretty damn good. Editing my review now. That's the Netflix anime that they released. I actually want to check it out. I mean, if J-Man's saying it's good, then
so it's doing better than that other little animated show that they decided to adapt, like Tomb Raider, telling Lara Croft to acknowledge her white privilege and return those artifacts that her father took.
Well, here's the thing about Tomb Raider, and this is something that Melanie Mack has been talking about because she's the Tomb Raider woman right there. She loves Tomb Raider, the original. She's been very critical of everything, like even some of the Tomb Raider that I love. I don't know if anybody remembers Tomb Raider Legend. It was a trilogy that came out in the mid 2000s. It was Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, and Tomb Raider Underworld. I love those games. Those were pretty fun games to me, but she's been very critical of those. But what's been going on with Crystal Dynamics and their approach to Lara Croft has been nothing short of garbage. The whole Survivor trilogy that they put out with Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, making her more of this sort of Indiana Jones clone instead of being more of an anti-hero in the original games. Like, a lot of people don't remember that Lara Croft in the original games, she wasn't an Indiana Jones type. She was more of an anti-hero. She was reckless. She was selfish. She was in it for the glory. You know, she wasn't in it to save the world. And so Crystal Dynamics have been doing everything they could to make her more of the saving the world type, which you might think is a pretty cool idea or a pretty good idea. It's like, yeah, I like seeing someone who saves the world. It's just that's not who Lara Croft is. She's always been more of an anti-hero. You know, that's kind of like making a well-known supervillain into a hero It's like, yeah, this is how this character's going to be now. Like, think about it if the Joker became the new hero in a Batman series. Like, you know what? Okay, if you want to tell some weird multiverse what-if story about what if the Joker wasn't actually a bad guy, yeah, it probably wouldn't be very good because it's like we always know the Joker is a villain. But I can at least say, well, okay, one-off story, what if, fine, I can deal with it. But to fundamentally change a character to the point where they are no longer what they originally were, and then when people call that shit out, and then you call them racist or sexist or whatever, all the ists and the phobes, dude. Haley Atwell is a great choice for Lara Croft. They clearly thought she was good enough to play the voice. She has the look. She can do it.
Yeah.
But instead, they gave her an audio role, and even the audio role sucks. Not because of her, but because check your privilege.
Unbelievable. But
that's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what else has been going on? Oh, I'll tell you what's been going on. Another week, another flop. Because we've had Madam Web, the Marvel movie nobody cared about. We had the Borderlands movie that nobody fucking saw and is actually being pulled from theaters as we speak. Yes. And speaking of things that are getting pulled in some way, I'm actually going to elaborate on this in just a sec. The Crow reboot that nobody asked for. Now, readaptation, spare me. Sorry, Chris, I don't care about that. It's a reboot. That's what it is. However, what I find hilarious here, I mean, besides the flop, like, first of all, the movie cost like $50 million to make. It only made like 4 on the opening weekend. Not 4, just 4 million on a budget of 50.
And that's not even including the budget for marketing and promotions.
Like, you hear that? I hear a gunshot going off.
Where?
Just when you thought it was safe to go back to the theaters.
Right. But what I find funny, I was actually looking at my listings for this weekend. I was just curious, what's playing? There's the one auditorium that has D-box seats.
Ooh,
you know, the
okay.
ones that move. Last weekend, for its opening weekend, The Crow had those seats.
Hell.
This weekend, not anymore. And you would think, oh, well, maybe another movie has come out that they're going to give that to. No, they're giving it back to a movie that came out last month. Twisters.
Damn.
So, yeah, it's like,
dude,
yeah,
that was a good movie.
Yeah, The Crow is not good enough for the seats that move, and you feel like you're part of the action. Give it back to the movie with the tornadoes. Ouch.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch that movie in D-box.
Yeah, it's kind of like replacing a 4D theater playing a AAA high budget quality film with a sci-fi original like Sharknado. Like, damn, the AAA movie didn't cut the slice, or didn't cut it, so you had to give it to the shitty one, which was infinitely better.
Now, even though this would pale in comparison, remember the drive-in I was telling you guys about that was like out in a feet, like kind of out in like the Badlands?
Yeah.
Where they were doing Twister. Well, apparently the smaller theater here is actually going to be doing a drive-in for the first movie.
Nice.
So, I honestly don't even know how they do drive-ins. Now, I'm kind of dumb when it comes to that shit. I assume they give you a Bluetooth speaker that you put in your car.
No, they have like a radio station.
Yeah. So at least that's how. I haven't been to an outdoor theater in a while, but the last time I was at one, what they do is they give you a radio station, like a radio frequency to tune into, to play in your car, and that's how you get the audio. And of course, you have the projector with the movie on it.
Yeah.
It's
because
something.
I've driven by that theater while they've had it driving going, and I do remember I had the window rolled down. I'm like, why can't I hear it? Like, how does this whole thing work? Because again, I'm kind of dumb. Okay, I'm done with that shit. But anyway, back to The Crow. Like, is anyone surprised? Like, that's a serious question. Is anyone actually surprised? Because I'm not.
Well, the last time we were in a stream, we had J-Man on, and we were talking about it and talking about how it looked like. I mean, J-Man said it looked like a John Wick clone.
Which is a terrible thing to say. I mean, because first of all, that's kind of harsh because John Wick's awesome. But I think the real problem is, and I think my fears have been realized, is based on what I've been hearing about this movie. I've heard some people say they enjoy it for what it was. I don't care. That's fine by me. I'm probably going to disagree if I ever get the chance to see it myself. But the problem here is just by looking at this movie doesn't have a visual identity like the original did. That one went there with its gothic nature. That's what it was. That's what made it so visually appealing on the most basic level. You look at this new one and it just looks so vanilla at best. And even with some of the story creative decisions that they have made here, like, they spend more time developing this very paper thin love story between Eric, not Eric Draven. They don't even call him Draven here. So what the hell? And Shelley. They spend more time on that.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the whole, like, when we get into the original, Eric and Shelley are already dead.
Yeah,
that whole thing's already happened.
Well, Shelley's
this movie
dying, but
dying.
Dead.
Yeah, but in this one, they take the time to develop that whole story in the first part of the movie, which takes up about 40 minutes of the runtime. We don't even get to see Eric become the titular character until near the end of the damn movie. And even then, it wasn't very good because they made him out to be a whiny bitch. I don't say that lightly, okay? They make him out to be weak. Like, they made Shelley out to be more of the headstrong individual, which is something
surprise.
Yeah, something
Modern
that is
Hollywood
been
at its finest.
affecting culture these days. Like, it's replacing or switching the whole dichotomy of having a strong man.
Demasculate the strong male character. That's
There
what
you
it
go.
is.
And of course, it's lacking all of the gothic tones that made the original so good. The thing about the original Crow is that it came out in the perfect time, and it's kind of like a time bubble. That movie, it captured the spirit of the time that it came out in. It had a very strong atmosphere, aesthetic. It's something that you could only really make in that time period because some of those elements that helped make that movie possible were only in that time. So the mere fact that this wasn't just another Crow movie like we've already got, because there were Crow sequels, different characters taking on the name of the Crow. It's a remake. You're retelling Eric's story. Even if they don't say Eric Draven, the mere fact you're calling him Eric, we know what this is. Eric plus Crow equals no shit, Eric Draven, the Crow. Okay? I get that the character of the Crow, there's multiple incarnations of the character, different stories to be told. My question is, do we really want it? Do we really need it?
No, and no, and no. But the other thing that I've been hearing about this one is like how there are no stakes here because, oh, well, he's indestructible. So, but that wasn't the point with the original. Like, yeah, while watching, we know Eric can be hurt and it would keep him down, but the real stakes were the fact that someone who isn't indestructible was in danger. Because, yeah, from what I'm hearing, where is Ernie Hudson? Where is Sarah? Where are those characters here? Apparently, they don't exist. And him protecting Sarah was his main priority. That's where the real stakes were in that final climax with Top Dollar. And speaking of which, an uncharismatic villain played by that guy from Origins Wolverine, I forget his name. Apparently, he's just playing the same fucking character again. Like the same type of villain he's already played. It's like, fuck off.
It's like a typecast.
Top Dollar was such an awesome villain, though. He was charismatic, he was intimidating, and he was also cool. Like, he was the kind of villain where you don't want him to succeed, but you kind of like the guy, too.
Mm-hmm. There's a charm.
Mm-hmm.
They say that a hero is only as good as the villain that he faces.
Right. But all of them, all the bad guys in that were memorable, right?
They had their own little quirks.
And how Eric used their fucking Achilles heels right against them. That was what made his revenge so satisfying.
Yeah.
Again, I can't say for sure if I've seen the movie, but I'm getting enough secondhand viewing from everyone else here. It's like just being a fan of the original and hearing what they're doing here. It's like, I don't like the sound of this. Like Chris and I have both said when it's streaming, we may check it out just because we don't want to pay for it. But at this point, I'm hesitant because this sounds like garbage to me.
Yep. The type of garbage that we don't need an episode of The Dumpster for because we already know.
Yep.
Yeah.
No debates here.
Wicked Prayer, though, that's a contender.
Very true.
With
John Connor.
And Angel.
David Boreanaz, Carter, please.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Aurora Borealis guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a funny gag in that Family Guy episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put him in the Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, but to be honest, I need to stop saying to be honest. Anyway, I had a feeling that The Crow was gonna bomb. Because here's the thing, you can't. It's been. It's weird. It's been 30 years since the first Crow came out, or the original with Brandon Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking over. I was looking about The Crow, and it turns out this was from like 9 days ago on the 20th. It says The Crow reboot banned real guns after Brandon Lee's death on the original film set and the Rust tragedy. Blah blah blah. So basically, Sanders is new on the take, but this is basically from Variety magazine, a source.
Yay!
Yay! So basically, they banned firing guns such as blank guns, and the only thing they got are non-firing replicas like this one, which is basically a non-firing courtesy of Denex, not sponsored, made in Spain, and airsoft gun. There's the saying how history has a tendency of repeating itself, and
right.
But you know how the whole incident about the Rust incident, how Alec Baldwin accidentally shot a cinematographer due to a lazy armorer.
Right.
Yeah, well, you ever heard the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or it's just best left alone? So, if you're going to do something, just leave it alone. Just don't touch it. Why do you even bother? Why is it even here? You just don't touch it.
Right.
Well, it could have something to do with the fact that we're coming up on an anniversary for The Crow. Well, it's going to happen. Because we're in 2024. 94 is when the first one.
It's been 30 years.
Hard to believe.
Or 20.
But what
30?
I think the most hilarious reaction, though, has come from the director of the original, who said, funny, this movie seemed to be nothing more than a soulless cash grab, but didn't really grab enough cash. He said something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically pointing and laughing at this movie's failure, and rightfully so, because I know he did not support this movie one fucking bit, and neither did the actress that played Sarah. Both of them were very vocal. No, yeah, none of them. It's like, because they were all saying what I'm sure a lot of us were thinking. It's like, this isn't just some movie you can reboot. Like, yeah, the sequels in their own ways were kind of reboots themselves, but
it didn't tackle the character of Eric Draven. That's the
Yeah.
big difference. They
Like-
stayed away from the character of Eric Draven because there were other crows, because this is based off of the comics. So there were other crows they could have tackled. This movie could have done just that. If they weren't marketing this thing as an Eric Draven crow story, then, well, it probably wouldn't have had as much negative flack.
And as they have been saying, like you're taking something beloved as Crow. I know some people will say it's maybe not the greatest movie ever. It's still an important film, if you ask me. And it's one of my own personal favorites of all time. But always remember, Brandon Lee died for this movie.
Yep.
He did. Like, the fact that it even got released is a fucking miracle, because it gave us some of the greatest moments in movie history, if you ask me. Like, that whole montage of him donning the makeup set to that fucking song by The Cure. By the way, the soundtrack, fucking awesome. Like, gothic imagery, and even inspiring Batman and Batman and Batman on his trailers. It was pretty funny. But I even said this at one point. Like, when people say that this one looks more like a John Wick, like a vanilla John Wick type movie, it's like, the Batman looks and feels more like The Crow than this.
It does. That's the funny bit.
And you know what? The gothic architecture that we get to see in The Batman was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
And just how dark that movie looked at times. It had that very distinct color palette that reminded me a little more of Part Crow Part 2, City of Angels, but I digress. I still give that movie credit for having a decent enough visual appeal, even if it was an odd contrast to the original, with first one being very dark and then Part 2 being very orange looking.
Yeah.
But it still had grit to it.
Yeah, confession, I've never seen The Crow. The one with Brandon Lee. I've seen the one with John Connor, and I know, yes, you can give me.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. You know what? It's bad enough, or it could have been excused that you never watched the original Crow.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
But to say that you've seen one of the sequels instead, one of the shitty sequels, I mean, god damn, Carter.
Like, look, I will always have just a bit of, like, it's not a good movie, but I do have a bit of a soft spot for Part 2. I'll admit that's nostalgia, though.
Yeah, Tweet
but
Train.
it's not even that. It's not even that at all. I didn't even know that until I was older. But my point is, like, The Crow was one of the earliest movies I remember we ever rented. I watched it at a very young age, like preschool age, mind you. And I thought it was awesome. And then the next weekend, we rented City of Angels. And even back then, I'm like, I don't like this one as much. Like, I don't like, this guy's definitely not as good as Eric, like, at all.
Yeah.
I don't. But,
yeah.
But hey, want to know how else you can also flop? Don't follow the money. Because you know where the money isn't? Female reboots. Because now we're hearing that apparently the director of the Barbie movie is suffering from success. So let's do another lady reboot of Fight Club.
No.
Now,
absolutely not.
There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot I know about this one. I wanted to bring it up though, because the whole lady reboot thing, it's like, are we really still doing this? This wasn't even a fad that was successful to begin with, because everyone saw it for what it was. Lazy.
Yeah.
And now
we saw how that worked with
Ghostbusters, Oceans. Because remember Ocean's 8.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Never watched Ocean's 11.
Well, nobody remembers Ocean's 8 anyway, so it doesn't matter. But here we are again doing the lady rebooting. It's like these movies never succeed. Why are we even doing this? And why fight? Why Fight Club?
Yeah, that is a good question. What of all the things, of all the obscure movies, why would you go with?
Why don't you do American History X while you're at it?
Oh God, don't start. But hey, hold on a second. There is one thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
If I needed to say it, I'll tell you about it as soon as Danner gets back in frame.
Just keep talking. I'm still here.
Okay. So, because as Danner mentioned earlier about how they released The Crow, even after Brandon Lee died. After he died, they showed it. The one movie I want to fucking see next Wednesday. It's coming out. It's being released Wednesday. I'm so fucking excited. Legend of the White Dragon. The final movie. The final Jason David Frank's final movie before he died.
Yes.
And they said it's showing in select theaters, and they're not saying which theaters, which kind of fucking makes me want to tear my fucking hair out. But they're saying they're going to show it on Peacock. I'm like, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Dude, I would rather punch an old lady and not knowing which theater it's like where it's at, like not knowing which theater is going to be shown at, instead of it streaming. I would God damn it. I would pull a fucking Deadpool x Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine when he goes to dig up fucking Logan's grave. I would do that just to know where it's at.
That's kind of
fucked up.
odd?
Yes. Odd, yes, but I would never do that.
You would never do that after you just said you would do that?
Yeah, I would. God damn it! I'm trying to make a fucking comparison. Like I would rather lose a fucking leg to not see this film. Hell, I would. You know what? I will stay in the fucking theater all fucking night long until the movie's over. I will wait for the cleaning crew to just say, "Hey, you gotta leave." Fuck no, I'm not going anywhere. I want to watch this movie until. I don't care if you have cops haul me out of here. I'll stay in the son of a bitch if I have to.
Okay.
Again, very odd. But
I'm
gonna go ahead and end the poll about the Acolyte. So the question was, did you watch the Acolyte? If so, did you like it? So I included 3 options: yes, no, or did not watch. And we have an even split between no and did not watch. So out of 4 votes, half and half, which I sort of expected. It was either going to be no or did not watch. I don't think anybody tuning in here would have said they liked the Acolyte because it was just so just terrible. Like, not even because of the identity politics surrounding it, but the fact that it just made no sense. It introduced things that shouldn't have even been present at the time period. We saw fires in space. We saw a fire engulf a primarily stone fortress without any sort of accelerant to help the fire spread. It just
spread. We've had 2 characters played by the same actress playing them the exact same way, whose names I don't even know who's who at this point. I don't even know which one was supposed to be the good one.
Well, they both ended up turning to be bad, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Of course, you also have the wasted acting skills of the Asian guy who played Jedi Master Soul, which, if you could point out any good thing in that series, it was him. And it wasn't even because of the show being... It was just because of him. He was in Squid Games, so if you liked Squid Games, you liked his character in that, maybe you like him here. He actually learned English for this role, and I feel bad for him because it's like, you know what? He deserves so much better.
Yeah.
Indeed. So yeah, it's no surprise. 50-50 split on people watched it and didn't like it, or people didn't watch it, probably didn't even care to, which you shouldn't. I mean, then
No.
again, if you want to subject yourself to torture, then by all means. Me personally, I watched it through the eyes of Despero, and I'm content with that. But yeah, War and Pop Culture, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode in the bag. We're almost reaching 30 episodes.
Holy shit!
I have a plan for episode 30. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to say what, other than I'm working on bringing on a guest, maybe two. The reason is we don't usually get guests on the show very much, and I would like to expand just a bit. You know, bring on some other people to give their own perspectives on things. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. I mean, we were able to milk Acolyte talk, Mark Hamill talk, The Crow talk. So, yeah, it was another successful war or battle in the war, so to speak.
Acolyte getting canceled, I call that a victory for us. A major victory.
I mean, for me, I'm kind of indifferent about it because...
I mean, yeah.
Disney has shit the bed so many times on Star Wars. It's like,
it's not
is this really is it even really a victory? Like, because I can't really call it a victory if there was never a battle to begin with. This thing was dead before it even came out because they decided to market it that way. That you know what, we're not going to focus on the story. We're going to focus on the sexual orientation or the diversity of the characters because that's what sells Star Wars: sexuality and gender and race. That's how you sell Star Wars, not selling Star Wars on the story of good versus evil, light versus dark.
Nah, that's old stuff.
You know,
what?
Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham. Wait a minute.
Oh.
Never mind. Sorry, I was being
But But you're right. I wouldn't say this is worth taking a big victory lap over because I don't think they're going to learn. They never do. They haven't been. But despite us coming on to do this topic, like, we just figured this is a topic worth discussing because you know what? This is what we do with the War on Pop Culture. We're not just simply saying we hate everything else going on. We're just here to talk about it. War on Pop Culture, that's just the title, man. But my overall thoughts on the Acolyte getting canceled can really be summed up by a little quote from Mr. Harrison Ford himself. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Whether you're happy that it's canceled, whether you're crying yourself to sleep that it's canceled, I don't care. Because just good riddance. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. It's an inconvenience that is no longer in the way, unless they somehow miraculously decide, yeah, you know what? We're going to listen to the 50,000 people that signed the petition. I doubt they will, though it's not out of the realm of possibilities. We've seen stranger things. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, as far as what's coming up, what do we have next? Danner?
I think next week we're just going to go back in time and be excellent to each other. Yeah. Keeping with the time traveling, figured since Carter Sauce has done a trilogy, I'm going to throw one more time travel movie into the mix with a little movie starring Keanu Reeves and some other guy nobody cares about. Let's be real. Nobody cares about that. Let's be real. Nobody cares about Alex Winter. Not to mention he supported Amber Heard, so fuck him.
Oh, bogus, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we're watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Radical.
No. Excellent.
All I gotta say is, please no more time travel movies after this for a while. My intros can only cater to time travel so much before I lose my mind.
Well, I mean, we could always do Bogus Journey afterwards, where they quite literally go to hell.
Oh fuck no!
I mean, if you're trying to reference hell as the dark ether, then it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Well, then.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Hey, just wait for next week.
You fed the dog, buddy.
Hey, careful about the dog talk around this one down here.
Hey.
Oh, right.
Yo, hey.
Hey, point that thing someplace else.
Eat it. Seriously.
Anyway, yeah, so...
One more thing. Seriously, when he says point that thing someplace else, Ewok points a fucking spear back at him. Doesn't it sound like he says, eat it?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that scene again.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Oh God, I actually have to find. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the outro clip. There it is. Look, listen. Because I've been doing these intros, the outro clip is woven into the actual outro cinematic already, so I haven't had to use the standard one by itself. I found it. We're good. Yeah, so thank you to J-Man and T-Con and Sergeant Shitty Pickle. Sorry, you said quite a few comments and we were so deep in conversation. That's the thing about warm pop culture. When we get into these discussions, we don't look at the chat very much. We can see it. Yeah. We will do our best to correct that error in the future. I promise.
Or in the past.
Time travel, really? Anyway.
This comment from Sergeant, though. We ain't toxic. We're just fickle pickles. What do they mean, these people?
What do you mean, these people?
Wow. What do you mean, these people?
It's a cancellation of the Acolyte because of the orange man who wrote mean tweets and might be the president again. Yeah, I'm sure somebody will come up with some excuse. But yeah, so special thank you to Sergeant Shitty Pickle, T-Con, and J-Man for tuning in. And a special shout out to our Patreon supporters. Their names will appear in the outro. And until next time, fellow investigators, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the future is not set and that the entertainment is out there.
Now that these criminals are dealt with, are you okay, citizen?
What the fuck? Wait.
Oh, what the hell? I thought I found...
Wait,
wow.
Caleb, you need to fucking label that shit.
Whoop. Oh, how embarrassing.
Son of
a blooper.
Yeah. Blooper. Right. Until next time, remember that the entertainment is out there.
Go.
I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
Special Agent Dr. Richtofen. And until next time, fellow investigators, remember.
The entertainment
is out there.